One of my favorite things in this hobby is finding new, exciting, innovative products. And so let's get revolutionary today, huh?
Welcome to CK4RC.
I am super pumped to bring this new product to the channel today. Grippies tire inserts. These things are so heavy, they're so cool. I have a bunch of different tire inserts on the bench. They have their own video. We've seen how they perform. It's time to check out Grippies. I can't do the same test with these as I did with those because there's no structural integrity. These things are all about weight. So we're going to check them out. I've got a couple sets of wheels. I'm going to leave the rest of my wheels up here out of the way. I have a couple sets of wheels that I think that the Grippies should mount on pretty well. And I've got my tire rack over here with some of my larger size. We'll probably go with the Injora King Trekkers. These things are 62 millimeters. So I think these are, actually, I've got these 64 millimeters up here as well. So I'm going to try both of these and see if I can get the Grippies to mount inside one of these sets of wheels and one of these sets of tires. And we're going to see just how much of an impact these things have to keep your rig planted. So let's check that out. Went with my scale garage is bigger than yours because I had to get into my garage to get the wheels and tires and everything else. So I went that from Only RCs. Go to the website, use my discount code down in the description. You get 20% off. Ignore the slam banging going on in the background. But go to the website, get the stuff, save the money. You know how it works. Do all that stuff. Now let's get busy with these Grippies. Here we go. All right, got another setup on my bench over here. Moving on to the next phase of this testing video. Now, in just a second, we're going to get into some numbers because numbers don't lie. So what I had to do, it's taken me a couple days of messing around with these inserts because they do not like to cooperate. Having said that, I did find out that I got the first batch, the first version, the Gen 1 of the Grippy inserts. And these things, as with any product, when you get the first batch, they had their flaws. One of the flaws with these is they are just super gooey and gummy, and they do not cooperate when you're trying to mount them on tires. So Rad Daddy Crawlers, whenever they put these out, they tested them with specific wheels and tires. I did not have those wheels and tires, although I did order the size to match a set of tires that I have. Still didn't work out. So I couldn't use the 62 millimeter King Trekkers from Injora. I actually had to go up to 1.3s Hobby Plus wheels just to get things to work. And even then, I was only fortunate enough to get two mounted properly. So there's just no structural integrity with these things. So it makes it very difficult. Also, there's glitter with them. There's glitter. Rad Daddy, can we do without the glitter? Because my wife's not buying that all the glitter is coming from RC tire inserts, if you know what I'm saying. And I think you know what I'm saying. So anyway, let's cut out the glitter. I'm not totally sure why the glitter's even in there. Probably because it helps identify, like, oh, this is like the outside wall or whatever. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. But there's not a good way to even get these in the tires. I ended up just kind of like wadding them up and jamming them in and like working them around and then trying to get my finger in there and form them. And it was a process. And this one I worked with for probably longer than my patience wanted to. I even tried to kind of cut some of the insert out because it was just spilling over the inner ring and I could not get a good seal on the bead. So I ended up moving on. I did learn a trick after messing with this one. So once you get this in the tire, do make sure that they're not like deformed and like twisted and stuff like that. Make sure that you have a good flat surface, which seems like a no-brainer. But when you're talking about foams and silicone and printed inserts, they don't deform the way that these do because these are so floppy. So make sure you have a good, clean, flat surface where the inner ring goes, and that will help keep things from spilling over, because if it's a little cockeyed, then you're going to have problems. So just a pro tip, take it from me after spending as long as I did trying to get them mounted. Now, I do want to point out, so when you get these, you are going to notice that there's like baby powder in the package there, because these things, they're called Grippies for a reason. These things are sticky and just kind of just overall messy. So the material that I cut from inside, it's like snotty boogers, and it's sticky. So I probably shouldn't have even just picked it up. So I've got a mountain of it over here. It's more like a molehill, you know? But I saved some just to show, like, the inner part of the Grippies is sticky. So whatever, for whatever that's worth. Now, having said all that, I did end up getting 2 of them mounted, so I put them in the front because with a crawler, you want more weight in the front. So I do have 2 Grippies in the front of Big Pun, and I've got 2 regular stock tires with foams in the back. So we are going to get into those here in just a moment, but as promised, let me get this scale turned on and check out some of these numbers. So talking about these tires over here, the wheels are the same, the tires are the same, so that stuff will offset. The only difference is going to be the foam insert, which clocks in at 1.3 grams versus the Grippy insert, which clocks in at 46 grams. It's 45 times as heavy. That's bonkers. So that gives me an extra 90 grams basically on the front, just in the wheel. So you want to talk about out and down? These Grippy inserts, that's exactly what you want. Now, yes, people are going to say, oh, it's rotational weight. Rotational weight is bad. Yes, it is. I'm not going to argue and say that it's not. Yes, it is. What I am going to say that in these small scale crawlers, we're not talking about drag cars or high speed machines or anything else. We're talking about small scale crawlers. That rotational weight is negligible. It's not going to put that much strain on your drivetrain to where things are going to start blowing out and stuff like that. Unless it's very underpowered, then maybe. But I've got a mofo set up in here. Yeah, I do still have the stock ESC and receiver combo. That is going to be on the way out. But for now, I do still have that stock set up in there. So we're going to test it and we're going to see what happens. So with all of that, let's get to the actual driving part, huh? Let's get to the good stuff. So I do have the broken bridge over here. I do want to test because when I ran this, when I did the test of this product in a previous video, I used the Red Bolt, which for all intents and purposes is about the same weight as Big Pun, just a little bit less. But that truck was all the way up to the rear wheels were essentially right here on the pivot point before the scale tipped over. Now, I'm not a physics guy, a physicist, a physician. I don't think it's the last one. I'm not a physicist. I'm pretty sure that's the one it is. So maybe the pivot point isn't going to change any, but I'm really curious to see with this much of a weight difference up front, is it going to tip sooner? And if it does, maybe it won't be such a drastic smackdown because it won't have as much of the truck's weight up here on the top end. So maybe this will help with the teeter-totter obstacles. Just maybe. We're going to check that out in just a second. Before we get into that, I have one more thing that I want to mention. After I got these mounted and they sat for a little while, this one you can kind of tell looks a little slippery, looks a little slick, looks a little greased up and oily. It kind of is. And I was worried about that. I was like, did I pinch something? Is the Grippy leaking? What's going on over here? So I reached out to Mr. Rad Daddy himself and I was like, hey, what gives? And he was like, hey, all good, brother. So evidently the chemical compound in these things, I don't know, Vaseline plays a part. And so once you get them mounted and the baby powder kind of dries out, the Vaseline will kind of seep a little bit. I don't know, that's not the word he used, that's the word I'm using, but that will dry up and go away. But it was weird for me and I didn't know if that was normal or not, so I reached out to them. Those guys have been nothing short of amazing since I got this product. because I did get the first gen, they are sending me the second gen to be able to test those out because evidently they are much easier to mount. And also, I just saw that he released a side hill, I don't even know what to call it, a honeycomb insert that helps with the side hill stability on these things, which is really cool. And I think I have some of those on the way as well. So there's going to be a follow-up video to be able to test out the Gen 2 inserts and the side hill inserts, and I am really pumped about that. So, having said all that, we're going to test out the Broken Bridge first, and then I've got the Framebender NXT over there. And none of my rigs, well, I only tried a couple, but none of them have made it through the Framebender NXT to date because of that dagger in the middle is a killer. So I'm going to see if these things will keep me planted a little bit more and help me work my way over that dagger and complete the obstacle. So that's what we're shooting for here today. Now let me clear off some of this mess and get to the good stuff. Here we go. All right, I'm going to get this guy on. We've got light action. That's a good sign. That means that everything's working good. Not sure what's going on with my steering trim, but this doesn't look quite right. I'm not sure what's going on there. Interesting. Okay, we're going to call that good to go. Now, without further ado, big pun, meet the Broken Bridge. Here we go. I have the steering reversed even. What in the world am I doing over here? Oh, and now, yep, there, okay. I don't know what's going on with my life right now, but it's a little bit of a mess. That explains why the steering trim was so wrong, because I had the steering reversed, and so then everything was just backwards. All right, whatever, here we go. Okay, front tires coming up on that pivot point. So I want to go really slow and see if this makes any difference. If it doesn't tip any sooner, it's probably going to slam down extra hard because there's going to be more weight at the top. So this is where I could just be flat out wrong because I don't know the physics of how this stuff works. I expected it to start tipping already. It's fine. That's fine. It was expected. I did it on purpose. It's for science. That was all part of the plan. So, gotcha. That's what happens. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab this guy, and we're going to try this again. Because I lost track of where it was when it tipped. So let me get on up here real quick. Look how easy that thing just climbed that incline. I'm not sure what that incline is. Let's check the numbers on that. Because it's not a baby incline by any means. So let's get the old angle finder out, get it centered. Is it centered? 0. All right, there we go. Now, this thing right here, 35.6. 35, you can't see it, it's too far away. 35.6 is the angle on the Broken Bridge. So that's not a gimme. It shouldn't be terribly difficult for any competent crawler. I didn't want that there anyway. Okay, so back to the flippy bridge, as I call it. All right, it's lifting up off the table, and yeah, we're probably about a wheel's worth away from the pivot point. Probably about a half wheel, 2/3 of a wheel from where we were when the red bolt tipped it over. So it's actually not making a significant difference like I kind of expected. And then I probably should have throttled out. When in doubt, you just got to throttle out, brother. You know what I mean? And I'm not living my life right now. But I don't know. So let me grab the Framebender NXT, and we're really going to put these Grippies to the test. So be right back. Okay, here we go. We got Big Pun on the course. I'm going to start with the easier of the sides to mount. This side over here has like this kickback that just is not easy. So we are on it, and this guy is doing well. The herky jerky is me. It's just my itchy trigger finger over here. But once I get up here to where I really need to pay attention, then I will slow down. All right, now here we go. Coming up on the dagger, and this thing has messed me up every single time I've run this obstacle. So, Grippies. Is this gonna work? I'm a little bit offline. One of the things about the... that was not the right place to pause. One of the things about the dagger is it will shift you. It will throw you offline, and then you have to steer, you have to turn to keep things in line. All right, so up to this point, everything was fine, so I'm not going to worry about the remount, but I do want to try this again. I should not have paused right there where I did because it was not stable, clearly. So let me get going here. All right, it's pushing me again, man. I just don't like how it does that. So let me see. Okay, man, it's just carrying me on over. Maybe I just need to carry more speed through that. Once I get that passenger side tire up in the air, I probably just need to kind of gun it to where it can, because there's a gap back here. There's a drop off. And so I need to get past the drop off to where that tire can get some traction and just get grounded on this other little ledge back here. So that's the tricky part. And it's pushing me. That is how you do it, fellas. That's how it's done. So here, what I'm gonna do, just so you can kind of see the back side of that, let me spin that thing around. And yeah, we're gonna go streaking. We're gonna go for a naked run. So let me get up here. Now that was my second fail. I'm gonna call it my second fail. My rule always is 3 fails and we bail. I don't like how this is going. That's bad. That's real bad. Things still seem to be working. All right, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna try this other side because that one didn't work. And that's tough, man. I was expecting these Grippies to... Now this is where this mount over here is always tricky, just getting those rear tires to get up over the cliff. Can I pop over? All right, well that's the bad news, is if I give it a little pop, then it kind of just automatically goes right up into the dagger, which sends me flying off the side, the back side. So, all right, there we go. Oh, maybe. Oh, this just isn't going to go well. I don't have the amount of flex in this truck that I need. That is so annoying. These Grippies are doing everything they can to pull me over this obstacle, but this drop-off is so severe, and I don't have the flex in this truck. What do I need to do? What am I missing here? There's got to be a trick. Oh. I did it! I'm not done yet. I probably shouldn't even said that. Yes! Victory is mine! I'm just going to scoot that back. I'm going to put this right here. I'm just going to slap that body up there. We did it. We did it thanks to Grippies. That is what I'm going with. We saw that the truck was having problems. We saw that my driving wasn't helping anything. The Grippies is what made the difference. I firmly believe that. Hot dog. I'm pumped right now. All right, so here's the thing. Grippies, the first gen that I got are very difficult. Not going to lie about that at all. I don't know about the second gen yet. I haven't got the replacements, but I'm going to test those out, obviously. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to doing that. The fact that I was able to get 2 mounted and test them up, I am really pleased with what they bring to the truck. Really pleased with that. So if you're looking for the next level insert, Grippies is where it's at. It gives you weight as low as possible and as wide as possible. So it's going to help your side hill. It's going to help, especially if you get 2 in the front and leave lighter inserts in the back. It's going to help with your weight bias. It's going to help with pulling your truck up climbs. And it's just going to keep things more planted. So Grippies is the way to go. So you heard it here from this guy. Nothing in it for me other than I want you guys to have good products. And Grippies from Rad Daddy Crawlers is very innovative. They need a little bit of work with how squishy they are and just being able to work with them a little bit. But for what they are, they're awesome. So no complaints here. Highly recommend them. Go check them out. I'll leave a link down below. I don't get anything from it other than you guys get to benefit from finding a new innovative product. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the test. I am so pumped that I made it over the NXT. Finally. Hit the quad factor before you go. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Keep doing RC stuff. I'll see you next time.